Hello, everyone. My name is Lindsey Weaver, and I am in my sixth year as IB program manager at Great River. Originally, it was a coordinator role, and now with our new YST grant, I'm in the role of program manager. And I'm so excited to be chatting with the caregivers and students of this grade 10 class. I have the pleasure of working closely with our grade 10 class as one of the math teachers, and they are an amazing group of young people. And I'm very excited to support them on this next step, which is thinking about their 11th and 12th grade year at Great River School. As you might have heard by this point, we are the #1 IB school in the metro for Ivy and elite college access per the 2024 University of Minnesota study that I'll link in the slide deck. And in that same study, we're listed as a top golden ticket school for enrollment at highly rated colleges. We're also very proud of something related to our IB program, which is our CAS Wednesday internship program. And it was recently recognized by the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry for worth investing in $100,000 into this program to continue to build our internship and career pathways within the grade 11 and grade 12 journey. And so we're really proud of our unique Montessori and definitely this grade 11, grade 12 IB program. So I'm excited to share a little bit more with you tonight as your grade 10 students begin thinking about what their IB route at Great River is. How the night will unfold, and hopefully you found the Q&A. I'll try to track that throughout the night. We'll chat about what IB looks like at Great River, including what IB even is. We'll look at your students' program and IB course options. We'll then have a chance to hear from current students and alums on their perspective on the courses we offer and the different IB paths we offer. Finally, we'll have time for some frequently asked questions. I'll look at the Q&A and make sure I can answer those and talk about next steps. In terms of where we are in your grade 10 students' journey, tonight is IB Info Night. It's our big launch night. And throughout the next couple weeks, we encourage your student to be talking to their guides about their IB fit, what makes sense in terms of their pathways, what their teachers see as strengths and recommendations. A good time for that conversation might be during their conference in about a week and a half. On Monday, March 24th, their grade 11 academic plan is due to us. And so they're going to complete an IB and course registration form. We'll review that in April, and then we'll contact any students or families if concerns arise. I'm going to include this slide deck for you, and I encourage you to go back and review it, especially there's going to be some things that I'm not going to read off the slides, but include like some side-by-side comparing the science classes. And I just embedded a video that we put together this last February that is my shadow experience. I got to shadow one of our IB diploma students, Adara, throughout their IB Thursday and Friday schedule, and it was a great experience. So if you would like to learn a little bit of what it's like to be an IB student at Great River, please go back and watch that video tomorrow when Asia sends out the slide deck. IB at GRS, we are unique. So we are one of only 20 schools in Minnesota that is an IB school. IB stands for the International Baccalaureate, and it is all over the world. It was originally invented so that students traveling as expats with their parents around the globe could have a consistent education if they went to an IB school. So when students are sitting in IB Global Politics class at Great River School, they're engaged in the same curriculum, the same content, the same approaches to teaching and learning as students that are taking IB Global Politics in Japan or Brazil or different places of the world. Like Montessori philosophy, a lot is expected of students in IB, and that's why it's recognized and awarded for college credit at universities all over the world. I love how IB and the GRS mission have missions that are so intertwined and support each other. So, as you know, our GRS mission is very centered on peacemaking and building engaged and responsible citizens of the world. And you also see that emphasis on peace within the IB mission, developing inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who help to create a better and more peaceful world through intercultural understanding and respect. So I think IB often gets this rap of like, or reputation of being super rigorous and all about getting into a great university. And sure, it can open a lot of doors, but when we really pay attention to what is the IB focused on, it's focused on those global skills, inquiry skills, student-directed learning, and that's why I'm so excited to work at Great River, where that Montessori and IB really just build off each other and create a beautiful thing. For those of you unfamiliar with IB, I think you likely have heard a lot more about advanced placement, or PSEO is also a popular thing, post-secondary enrollment option in the state of Minnesota. So I just like to do like some comparison side by side. For all three of these things, students can earn college credit in high school. So advanced placement, that's one way to earn credit. We're not an AP school. AP schools usually only offer 1-year courses. They tend to be pretty content centered and lecture based. Many of their exams are multiple choice. The IB, you actually send in projects as part of your credit for the course. It also includes more open-ended questions on the exam. And so not multiple choice. Students really have to demonstrate their thinking. Those are some differences between AP and IB. And then one thing we love to sell about our IB program is the grade 10 students continue to develop those strong, excuse me, connections to their advisors and guides. So as students come to me saying, I think I'm ready for a PSEO, I'm like, okay, but we'll really miss you and we'll really miss supporting your journey. And so PSEO, when students are attending colleges at college campuses, they really need to be prepared for college. So independently navigating the campus, making sure that they're okay with their parents not having access to the learning platform. Many professors don't even realize what students in their classroom are high school students. The self-advocacy skills, time management skills required. I think PSEO is a great option for some of our students. When I think about our grade 10 pathways and knowing how colleges view each of these, I know that college admissions counselors say the top thing we award is an IB diploma, followed by IB courses and AP, followed by PSEO and then general ed. So that's what I've heard about college access. And the reason they say that is because college admissions has seen how well staying in that strong support system of an IB program with teachers that they know, with advisors they know, easy access to their college counselor, supports their development to really be college ready. So those are some side-by-side comparisons of AP and PSEO with IB. The IB program at GRS is the last 2 years of high school for all of our 11th and 12th graders. So we have 2 pathways for students. The IB for All pathway is a mixture of IB courses and GRS electives, and we also offer the very rigorous IB diploma program. So this is this big decision your 10th grader will be thinking about in their next couple of weeks. Do I want to pursue the IB diploma, or do I want to pursue Great River's IB for All program, where I'm going to mix some IB cores and GRS electives? We are really proud and really, we think we're pretty unique in terms of the way that we run IB at Great River. I have the privilege of working with students as their interventionists if they're in the diploma program once a week. We don't have any admissions requirements to any of our IB courses. And we think we're the only school in Minnesota where the IB is not a school within the school. In other words, all of our 11th and 12th grade students are enrolled in IB Global Politics, IB Science, IB Math, and IB Literature. So they're really hearing from different classmates from different experience, perspectives, backgrounds. It's not just all the diploma kids in one class of different ideas, different ways of teaching each other and working with each other. We see keeping everyone in one classroom experiencing the same thing, kind of like key experiences, as one of the important aspects of our capstones. So let's look a little closer at those two routes, the IB for All program and the IB Diploma program for grades 11 and 12. If your student chooses the IB Diploma program, their schedule is set. They are enrolled in 7 IB courses. So in addition to our core, literature, math, science, global politics, they also are enrolled in IB Spanish, an IB elective, art, music, or theater, and a class called Theory of Knowledge, which is a really fun philosophy course with a lot of discussion and seminars. Their 8th section would be their independent work, but also if they're taking HL Science and choir, that schedule fills up fast. So the IB Diploma route has a tough schedule. In addition, students their 11th grade spring engage in a research project called the Extended Essay, where they could do a science project or a design project or go really into depth into a literature analysis or something like that. And that takes place all of semester 2 of their 11th grade year and results in a round of 4,000-word essay. Like all students at Great River, IB Diploma students are engaged in CAS, and there's a few extra diploma requirements, such as doing 3 informal interviews with our CAS consultant. Because of this full schedule, if a student chooses the diploma route, they will not be able to take any non-IB electives, such as ceramics, musicianship, and physics. The other route, IB for All, offers a lot more freedom and flexibility. So like I said, they are enrolled in our IB core, IB Literature, IB Math, IB Science, and IB Global Politics. But then they can choose from either IB electives or non-IB electives, like physics, theater tech, musicianship, ceramics. They're still involved in CAS, like all adolescent students at Great River, and they can still register and take IB exams in grade 12 for college credit. So it's really about what type of schedule does your student want? Do they want a schedule that's really set, that is all IB, or do they want to mix it up with some IB and some GRS electives? As they think about their options and their different routes, a lot of families talk about what does this look like for increasing college accessibility and potential access to a more affordable college experience. So the way that this chart is organized, it's a small selection of colleges I know, but I put a link at the bottom that you can learn more, and it's easily Googleable to find out. So you can see colleges on the left, and then all the subjects we offer across the top. And I wrote in a note that if a student pursued a diploma, the IB diploma, if there's any bonuses offered by the college. So for example, at Knox College, if a student earns a 4 or higher in IB Literature HL through registering for the exam and taking that exam at the end of their senior year, then they get college credit from Knox. In addition, if they do the IB diploma and earn the IB diploma with 30 points at the end, they get 1 year of college credit. They essentially enter Knox College as a sophomore instead of a first year. So that's a good thing to Google. Like if you're interested in Colorado College or how IB credit is awarded in a certain state, like Montana or whatever, you can actually type that in Google. Getting IB credit at Wisconsin-Madison, getting IB credit at St. Olaf. So there's a lot of easy resources to find out how different colleges award college credit. I'm going to check. This is a popular time to be answering some questions. So I'm just going to take a look in the Q&A. The question is, what are the science options? And we are going to look very closely in that in just a moment. The IB diploma is really hard. So what do we know about its benefits? When I think of its benefits, I just think of the alum voices that we hear back from. And I have never heard an alum come back and say they regretted finishing the IB diploma program. They talk about how important it was to increasing their college readiness, having the strong support system of guides and mentors. And we do well. Like we have seen 75% or more, higher than the global average, earn the IB diploma if they choose that route at Great River. It is a really hard program. It is not for everyone. I don't think I would have chosen it, honestly. And I'm like the one that's supposed to be selling IB if I were a high school student, because my thing was I was super involved in volleyball and super involved in track and field. And at that time, choosing a really hard and rigorous IB path wasn't going to be the best decision for me and how I was going to develop as a human and spend my time. And it is an awesome route for a lot of our folks. And I see a lot of our grade 10s that would be great candidates for this program, depending on their personal goals. This is going to be included in the slide deck if you want to do a little more digging with hearing from college admissions folk at Princeton and reading a little bit on what the IB has to say about college readiness. And I want to also highlight at this time the top reasons that students choose not to do the IB diploma despite all its benefits. The IB for All route, the mixture of IB courses and electives, allows for a lot more freedom in scheduling and choice of elective. For many students, needing to spend grade 11 and grade 12 raising their GPA for better college access. The IB for All is less academically rigorous, so it allows for more focus on theater directing or sports training or whatever else. And if students really need their independent work time at school, because there isn't a 7-course requirement, it frees up the schedule a bit. So let's take a closer look at those course choices. I'm going to be visiting student classes later this week to go in depth with the students on these choices. So it's going to feel a little fast and on the surface as we go through this. But remember, the slide deck's coming out and your student will hear it more in depth. These are all the IB classes we offer at Great River School, in addition to Theory of Knowledge, the fun philosophy class. So you can see this slide is broken up into our IB math choices, IB science, IB literature, IB global politics, IB Spanish, and the IB electives or IB arts. For IB math, students work with me, Aiden, and Abby, our 10th grade and beyond math department, to get placed into one of those courses. For IB Science, we offer ESS and Bio, which I'll talk more about in a moment. All of our 11th grade students will be together in IB Literature. All of them will be together in IB Global Politics. And then students get to choose electing into an IB Art and IB Spanish. If a student does the diploma, they have to pick one of those from one of those boxes. So what's the right IB math for our grade 10 students? We've been chatting a lot about this. Students have already kind of chosen their path this year. So they might be with Aiden in IB applications already, and they might be with me in IB analysis already. That isn't to say that there can't be some switches back and forth. Especially, I have some students sitting in IB analysis right now that are like, I think I want to switch this path and take IB applications next year and in grade 12. And that is perfectly fine. So you can kind of see the differences in our math class. If a student is thinking of pursuing STEM after high school, they will likely want to be in IB analysis. If they're more focused on politics, the humanities, going into hospitality, design, IB applications is likely the right choice for them. For IB Science, we have some panelists here today to chat about their experience in both of these science classes. We have IB Environmental Systems and Societies, which fits beautifully with our values as a school and our experiences out in nature. We also have IB Biology, which is the most rigorous science class we offer because we're able to offer it at the higher level. So students go really in depth into the study of molecules, cells, organisms, and ecosystems. Very appropriate class for students thinking about going into healthcare or medicine. And again, because it's an HL science class, a higher level science class, it would be great for folks thinking about going into STEM. I got a question recently from a student of like, what if I'm thinking about going into forestry? Such a beautiful question. I think either of these science classes would be a great choice for something like that. So it's really up to the student in many cases of like what they're most drawn to, despite what they're thinking of going into. We have some amazing IB art electives taught by very, very experienced guides. We're very lucky to have Zach, Carolyn, and Randy, who have been with the school for more than a decade, a couple of them from the very beginning. IB Music, IB Theater, and IB Visual Arts sound very fun, and they are. A lot of creativity, a lot of opportunity to express oneself in ways that we don't get to express ourselves in math or literature. And though fun, very rigorous, and a lot of writing in all three of these classes. A lot of music theory in IB Music. A lot of needing to rely on intro to art skills in IB Visual Arts. IB Theater doesn't have any prerequisite, but I will say there is a performance requirement. It's a small part of the course. Like you also learn about lighting and staging and directing, but it is worth saying that there is a tiny performance aspect of IB Theater. Not an emphasis, but a requirement. Oh, we got a dead link in there somewhere. Non-diploma students, so if you're doing our IB for All route, you do not have to continue Spanish. You can continue Spanish. Some pros, better for college access. We do really well in IB Spanish in terms of our scores. So students can also often earn college credit for their IB Spanish scores. Or I talked to one of our parents that has a student at Carleton recently, and she had been a diploma student at Great River. And her mom said that she was able to study abroad, not because she got college credit necessarily for Carleton, but because she tested into a higher level of Spanish that allowed her to finish her credits more quickly. So that's something to consider too. Potential cons, it takes away one of your electives, and it is more rigorous than non-IB electives and like ceramics and musicianship. IB for all those non-diploma students with flexibility in your schedule. I know that you likely have an elective you're interested in, but I so want to shout out how cool Theory of Knowledge is. It's taught right now by Sophie, one of our IB literature guides, and she's doing such an amazing job making it an interesting class. It was one of my favorite classes of my shadow experience. we got to have a really thorough discussion on like AI ethics and the human sciences and what is human science. So very cool, again, philosophical course on how do we know what we know? What counts as evidence? What does theory Z mean in the real world? So please consider taking TOK as an elective. I do not think you'll regret it. We have a lot of students who are not diploma students that took it in the fall and were like, yes, I'm taking it in the spring. I'm taking it as many times as I can. So definitely consider signing up for TOK as an elective. How do you decide what is best for you? Panelists, I'm a little behind, I apologize, but let me get you promoted. I would love for us, for the audience members to hear from some students. So I'm gonna close my sharing. There we go, stop share. And I'm going to get some of our panelists up here so that you can hear from some alums and from some current students on different options for your IB experience at Great River. So we have Bella joining us, who's a senior at Great River, Jackie, who is an alum of Great River. I haven't seen Jackie and Joseph. Joseph, who is an alum of Great River, Rowan, who's a current junior at Great River, Zach, who's a current junior at Great River, Mustafa, who's a current junior at Great River, Nick, who's a wonderful alum. He was very involved. You probably saw Nick if you went to the 80s show last year on guitar. Throw your name in the question and answer if I missed you as I went through our promoting to panelists. Hi, panelists. Thank you for joining tonight. We are going to start with one of our alums, Joseph, and then Nick, we're going to hop over to you. So Joseph, can you share with everyone where you are in terms of what came after Great River for you and how you perceive your IB route, which was the IB diploma, benefiting your current status? And then Nick, the same question for you. You were an IB for all student, so non-diploma route. How do you see that being the right decision for you and how it informed your next step after Great River? So Joseph, over to you first.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Joseph. I am currently at Bard College in Annandale, New York, and I'm studying literature and maybe something else we'll see. I'm in my first year here. Yeah, I got the IB diploma and I think it was so incredibly helpful. Both of my brothers also took it and they report similar results. I think that the biggest part was just time management, project management. As Lindsay said, the IB specifically is so much more focused on projects and writing. And I am finding that, especially going to a liberal arts college, I'm doing a lot of writing, that's for certain. And so the IB was really helpful there. I will also say one of the things that another benefit that at least happened for me was Lindsay talked about people not doing the diploma because they want to focus on their grades. I will say that for me, going into my junior year when I started doing my IB diploma, my I had a lower GPA than I might have liked, and I found that actually having a more intense, rigorous schedule that I had to work around sort of forced me to like get my stuff together and really sort of promote my GPA, get it to the point that I wanted. And so I went into junior year with like maybe a 3.0 or something, and I graduated with like a 4.3 weighted and a 3.9 unweighted. And so I'll just add that as well, that I found that to be really helpful.
Awesome. Hi, my name's Nick. So after graduating Great River, I started working almost full time at the Music Around in Roseville. For those of you who don't know, it's a used instrument store. I've been there since September of my senior year, and I initially had planned to go down to Red Wing for the instrument build and repair program. And about in May, my coworker said, "Hey, do you want to do it for free? Just come to my apartment and do an internship that way so you can stay full time at the store." And I said, absolutely. So that's more or less where I've been. Yeah, I think not doing the IB diploma for me was more of I think academically, I'd like to say I'm a person who mostly knows my limits, and I think academically the IB wasn't. Just knowing myself, I knew IB was going to be more of a challenge and more of a academic pressure than I was, ready to take on at kind of when enrolling for that would have been. So, yeah, I guess that's my track there of not doing IB. I think I just, at the time, I knew it wasn't for myself. I know my older sister did it, and I would have to ask her what her opinions of it were. I'm not going to speak for her, but yeah, I think yeah, it wasn't a choice that I thought made sense for me.
And Nick, one thing that you might not brag on yourself for, but I would say not doing the IB diploma allowed you to pursue music in a really deep way and a way that you wouldn't have had you done the diploma. And like
Absolutely.
take on leadership roles with the 80s music show, for
Mhm.
instance.
I will say, I did just finish with my coworker fixing up one of Great River's basses, and hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we'll be moving to one of the guitars that has not been working for, I think, since my sophomore year there. So
We
I'm pretty
appreciate you,
excited to
Nick.
get that one back on the floor for the school.
Awesome. Jackie, over to you before we hear a little bit about the IB courses. Uh, where are you in the world and how has the diploma paid off?
Hello everybody. I'm sorry, it was very hectic for my camera wise. But hi, I'm Jackie. I currently study at Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois. And I'm a poli sci and global health major with a potential minor in film and media studies. The IB, I think as much as junior year and senior year me would have hated to say it, it has been like immensely helpful. I mean, like writing wise, I think especially as I did IB theater and there's a lot of writing with IB theater. Like the kind of analysis that we do and the kind of like styles of writing that you're taught in the IB, as well as like also like exam prep because like closer to your senior year, you have like this entire month or two to prep for exams has really paid off in terms of just like being sometimes even like excelling like compared to like my other peers that might not know exactly what to do or how to navigate things. Like I remember my first year seminar, I was feeling like, wow, like I really feel prepared. And then a bunch of people were coming up to me and being like, hey, like I heard that you got like really good marks or like feedback on this. Like, could you help me out? And it's like been really great to even like make friends in a sense because you're kind of reaching out to people and you're like helping them better their writing or whatever. And it's like it's a good time.
Thank you, Jackie. I also am just realizing I really miss you and Joseph and Nick. Come back and visit. We're probably going to come back to Jackie and Joseph and Nick for thinking about IB music and IB theater because those folks took those classes. But I also want to include some other panelists here. So, Rowan, let's start with you. Can you share something that has been a highlight in your IB music experience?
Sure. My name's Rowan. I'm a 11th grader in the IB music class, and I have really loved the opportunity to perform in the IB music concert. This year it's on May 26th, and a lot of our work so far in the IB music class, like I'd say about half of it, has just been selecting and rehearsing songs for that concert, which I'm really excited for. And it's super fun to rehearse and hopefully perform songs with other young musicians in my class. It's been awesome.
How much music theory do you need to know for that course, Rowan?
Very, very basic. You don't even have to be a musician. Like Zach will find stuff for you to do no matter what.
Over to Bella. Bella, could you talk? You're like our lone rep. can you talk to us about IB art as a class? What has surprised you? What has been a highlight for you?
Um, so I'm a senior in IB art, and not sure that anything really surprised me about IB art because I had all when I was in 10th grade, all of my seniors who were giving me advice on this were like, there's so much writing in IB art. You have to be prepared. You're going to write papers that are really long that aren't even really technically papers. But like, so I don't know that it was any like necessarily surprising facets about it. But I do really enjoy the freedom that IB art provides, but also kind of hate it. There's very little structure in the way that you have to produce your art. Like you have complete control over your art. You can do whatever you want with it. You can take whatever direction you want with it, and that's fantastic. But there's very little guidance that Randy can provide because she can't read your mind. So if you have an idea, you have to be able to like um cohesively figure out that idea yourself and then ask for advice on it once you know a little bit more about it from yourself. So that's a little bit hard.
Yeah, something that I've noticed that reminds me of uh, a kind of theme that you talked about, Bella, is this year there's artists doing animation. And
Yeah.
so animation as a medium, photography we've seen in the past, ceramics.
Hmm.
So it's much
Yeah.
more beyond a lot of student choice, beyond just simple painting or simple drawing.
Yes, you can go in any direction, any medium you want. Levi painted two separate skateboards, I think. They look really cool, actually. I recommend going to see them. But so you can do any type of medium you want. You can go in any direction, and Randy will fully support you in it.
Cool. Zach, we're going to hop over to you. What has been one of the highlights of IB music for you?
I would say the community. It's like a really great space to meet people and to like it makes you feel comfortable. Everybody's like going through it together. It's a pretty small group often. I know the senior year in front of us is a pretty small group. Um, and yeah, it's been a good experience for me. Helped me branch out. So
Uh, I'm going to go back to Joseph and Jackie. Could you two partner to tell us a little bit of your highlights from IB Theater?
Um, Jackie, do you want to turn? Okay. Well, yeah, I think, I mean, similar to Zach, there's a really strong community in IB theater. I mean, and I think a part of that just comes from like the people that tend to be inclined towards IB theater tend to, you know, have that ability to make those strong connections and have similar sort of passions in the arts. And I'm sure that's true for really any art. I'd say I one thing that I will say about Ivy Theater is that it is very like rooted in theory. And I, again, like I'm at a liberal arts college. That's something that we approach a lot, and having that sort of like that basis in both mostly Ivy Theater, honestly, but also some various other aspects of the Ivy diploma, including the EE, I think has really sort of like prepared me for like jumping into that specific part of academia and higher education. And then just like the amount of reflection and writing that is required for Ivy Theater. Yeah, there were some honestly there were some projects in Ivy Theater that were like comparable to the extended essay as far as like the effort that you were putting in, which sounds really daunting, but honestly, they are really fun. Some highlights for me were like there's one where you have to like propose a production of a play or a musical that you really like, and I had a lot of that. So yeah.
Jackie, can you speak to if someone is hesitant to take it because they're a little nervous about performance? What would be your advice if they were listening to this pro of like really tight community and interested in like the creative aspect of the behind the scenes of theater?
Honestly, I would say I think in order to actually do really well with behind the scenes work, you have to be able to also put yourself out there on stage. It's very, in terms of like putting yourself out, like, acting. I mean, I've always kind of grown up to like want to perform. So it's like kind of maybe a little bit different from someone who might be a little bit more introverted or like not as desiring in that. But like, I've honestly like from my peers like back in like my junior and senior year that really didn't want to act, I've like they were like they had a lot of fun with it, like I think it's a great place to kind of like let loose. It's really not as serious as you think it is, and you can honestly with IB, the great thing is that you can always tie in like any nervousness or any flubs that you have with like some level, be like, oh, like this super meta thing actually, like it's not actually me messing up, you can always spin it in your own way of making it seem like you actually meant to do that thing. And so yeah, I mean like it really shouldn't like it's totally understandable, but I really think that at the end of the day, it really shouldn't inhibit you from wanting to do IB theater because like Joseph said, we have a really great community. It prepares you for like really good analysis and also thinking outside of the box that I think is more required. I think like even like non-humanities like STEM, like you have to kind of think outside of the box. And so why not do it through acting and conquer that fear?
Thank you for that, everyone. We're going to finish up with a couple science questions. So, Zach, we'll start with you, and Bella, let's see if you want to add anything on. A highlight from IBESS. And then Mustafa, I'm going to go to you for your highlight and what you would want grade 10s to know about IB Bio. So over to Zach first about IBESS, a highlight of IB. So IB Environmental Systems and Societies.
I'd say a personal highlight for me is the range of content and like the things that we study. I've been really interested in like the talks about energy and stuff like that, and that's really been one of the highlights that I've really enjoyed, and like the projects that come with it. There's obviously like a lot of note taking and learning, but it also you get to do pretty fun projects. So yeah.
Bella, anything to add?
I do. Being someone who's in ESS with a lot of friends in bio, I can say that ESS is a lot better of a mix of projects and tests versus bio, which is mainly tests. It's got a lot more note taking in bio, and ESS has its fair share of note taking, but it tends to lean more towards investigative projects. We're kind of leaning really hard into GLOPO for this unit because we're talking about energy and how it's like being used and in specific countries around the world and comparing
Global
them. And
politics
so,
for long. For those of you that don't
yeah,
know the GLOPO
sorry.
short.
Yeah, GLOPO is short for global politics. But it's very, it's I feel like it's a good mix of projects and tests altogether. And I love Pam as a teacher. She's a great teacher.
Mustafa, last question over to you. What can you tell us about IB biology and a highlight from IB bio?
So yeah, like Bella said, IB Bio is a bunch of tests mainly for the summatives. But what I find really interesting is that like it goes super in depth in the material, and you get to know really valuable information about specific processes. And I've kind of gotten to the point now taking the class to where I realize that some of these processes and units that we learn about begin to tie into each other. And it's like really interesting to see how it all comes together. And Pam's also, yeah, a great teacher.
Panelists, you're awesome. I promised it would be short, and it was. Thank you so much for your time, especially alums for coming back. And current students, I'll look forward to connecting tomorrow, so you all can sign off. Folks in the audience, our last step is just connecting on some frequently asked questions. So I'm going to pull that up here. As you're thinking about these routes in the next couple of weeks, just be thinking, students, about what are my academic and personal strengths. You can also be thinking about what route is going to give you the best chance of success. What do the adults in my life see as my strengths? What have I enjoyed learning about so far in my K through 10 education? And what do my caregivers think about this decision? Some frequently asked questions. Since all of our students are enrolled in IB classes, do students have to take the IB exams at the end of their senior year? The answer is no. Students can choose whether or not to be official IB course candidates, and I help them register for exams during their junior or senior year. Many of our students choose to take the exams because they're doing the hard work anyways. Can a student be an IB diploma student if they have a 504 IEP? Absolutely. IB exam costs. IB exams tend to be on the more expensive side. However, we're really proud that we offer a lot of payment options, including the fees being waived entirely. So cost should absolutely not be a barrier to the IB program or to exam registration. What if students change their mind? What if they go for the diploma and they're like, nope. Here's what I can say. Students who pursue the IB diploma program, they're going to have at least one moment where they want to quit it. And so every single one of them, we meet the struggling student where they're at, and we will support that student when they come to us and say, I don't think this is right for me, with meeting one-on-one with them to listen and collaborate. And if they really are thinking, changing my IB route away from the diploma is something I'm really seriously considering, we'll meet as a full team with the student, their parents, and the IB support staff. And that conversation, like, just for data, really goes probably 60-40. 60% they stay in the program with some interventions and supports and plans put in place. 40% were like, yeah, we agree. Like, listening to you, collaborating together, it seems like the best choice for you is to do a different route away from the diploma. It is not right for everyone. So here's again the summary of what's next. Be talking to the community about what might be right for you, and make sure you get that IB and course registration form turned in by Monday, March 24th, so we can review that and get you all scheduled. Feel free to reach out to me, Lindsey Weaver, if you think of any questions beyond this, and I'm happy to stick around now and watch the Q&A to make sure that the questions and answers get answered for everyone. So thanks for joining, everyone, and I'll look forward to connecting with our students tomorrow. One of the questions I see in the chat is, how does a student decide between standard level and higher level courses? The good news is that students do not have to pick right now whether to do standard level or higher level for any of their courses, except for math, but we kind of counsel them in that decision. And actually, they don't even have to pick it for math. So they don't have to pick between standard level and HL right now for anything. We work with them throughout the 2 years to make a final decision on what they decide to register for from their exam. The big difference between higher level courses and standard level courses is that higher level courses require more hours, both instructional hours from teachers and hours put into learning from students. Can the student get the diploma while taking all standard level classes? No. The IB diploma requires at least 3 higher level courses. The most popular ones for our diploma students to take are IB Global Politics, IB Literature, and their IB elective. But we certainly have had an increase of students in the last 2 years do IB Math at the higher level and IB Science at the higher level. What are some pros to taking IB exams if not pursuing the full diploma? College credit. Access to college credit is a big one for families because that can make college more affordable, or allow a student to take 3 classes a semester instead of 4 classes a semester, which just makes college more manageable, the workload more manageable. Another advantage of taking IB exams, even if you're not pursuing the full diploma, is going through the experience of preparing for really formal kind of standardized exams. So like a finals week, kind of like a student would see in university. experiencing a exam script in a room. So going through that routine often is another reason that students take those low stakes IB exams at the end of senior year. I don't see any more questions, so I'm going to end our recording now, and we'll always be available via email for more questions as they come up in your conversations. Thank you for joining, everyone. Looking forward to connecting.